Hey guys, this girl got game. Welcome back to C14 Dating. We are here to date a fellow gamer, Mr. Shoji, not Shoto. So as you can see, I have my week completely full of gaming, a couple of internets, and a dance at the end, so hopefully we're low stress by the time we get to the end of week 1. Good grief, we're going to be gaming inside a game. Starting to reach Inception levels here. Alright, let us start. Like Sherry said, there was another lecture in the morning, complete with a whiteboard and Augustin demonstrating how to use a trowel. It was all in French, and Sherry was kind enough to translate some key phrases, or remind me that I covered this with her before the trip. The students were divided, with one half, me included, to head for the cave, while the other group would stay behind for lab work. The walk to the cave was roughly 10 minutes, passing through a narrow path in the sloped woods. The trickier sections had cement stairs installed, along with handles to prevent slipping. When we reached an ordinary-looking shed, Augustin pulled out his keys. I realized this was the cave entrance, or at least the artificial part of it.
Once you're inside, please spread out so I can explain how to wet screen.
He repeated the instructions in French as we filed through one by one. There was a raised counter in the middle with plastic containers suspended on wooden supports. So this is where the wet screening takes place. Looks like it can only fit 2 people at a time. I wonder how often it'll be used. Augustin demonstrated by lowering an empty metal sieve into a plastic container. Grabbing a hose, he mimed washing the screen and rooting through pretend dirt. As much as I tried to pay attention, the language barrier tested my focus, and my eyes started to wander. Okay, so I've done this, and I think I've done this. What does looking down do for me? My foot tapped quietly on the steel platform, and I happened to glance down through the holes. Curious, I peered over the rails of the suspended platform. Whoa, how deep does this cave go? We're at least 2 stories high from the looks of it. Now I wish I had a rock to toss down to test. Unless it caused a noisy chain reaction of unwanted proportions and alert whatever is lurking underneath. We don't want to awaken the Balrog, so maybe let's not pull a Pippin. I wonder if it's possible to visit below. Is there another entrance? A shuffle brought me back to attention, and people were gathering buckets, tools, and knee pads. I followed and carried everything in my own bucket, including a sheet of paper encased in a plastic bag. The real entrance to the cave opened, leading to a narrow industrial catwalk suspended over the abyss. Once I walked through, the temperature dropped to a cool chill, and I zipped up my hoodie. Augustin directed students to various locations, while Sherry carefully slipped by and I followed. The cave opened up farther in with numerous stalactites and stalagmites everywhere. The catwalk railing disappeared where the ladders connected, or when it branched off into other segments of the cave. Sherry, where will I dig? Sherry leaned over the railing and pointed to one of the deeper parts.
You'll be digging here. It's a 125,000-year-old lair. The very same one where they discovered the Neanderthal mandible.
What? I'll be digging in such an important place already? Despite my nerves, I felt giddy inside. Sherry climbed down the ladder and I trailed behind her. At the bottom of the ladder was another catwalk, positioned exactly in the middle. Now that my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I noticed there were strings and cords hung everywhere in a specific pattern, with notes nailed into the soil. Sherry brought me to the end of the catwalk where there was yet another ladder, but this time much shorter.
You'll be digging on the right side here.
Here was a rather cozy-looking pit, a perfectly dug-out square. 2 to 3 people could probably move around freely in the space. It was almost right under the main catwalk higher up, too.
This is your carré, D32.
Carré? D32?
Carré means square. Everything is separated into a grid system. Starting from the entrance of the cave, the uppermost left to right, it goes A1, B1, and so forth.
That makes sense. It explains all the lines dangling from the ceiling, too. They're for measuring.
Correct. Shall we take a closer look? The photographs for this row should be done already. I'll be right back. You can go ahead and set your items down.
She retreated while I placed the bucket next to the shorter ladder. I descended and grabbed the tools before I hopped off the last step. The layer I would be working on was mostly dirt, with the odd large rocks sticking out here or there. It would be easy to dig. By the time Sherry returned, I already had my knee pads out and the piece of paper next to me.
Here we are, a picture of your square.
She handed it to me. I could tell it was printed off in the highest resolution possible, fully inked and glossy. What do we use this photograph for?
First things first, we distinguish each layer and outline it on the photograph. Once Augustin or myself check it over, you can go ahead and start excavating. This picture is an irreplaceable reference, and you'll find yourself relying on it often. Please don't lose it or get it tarnished. Sadly, Augustin is short-staffed at the moment. I'll be helping the other students, since most are new to this too. Is there anything you'd like to go over?
I got it, girl. I'm good, Sherry.
Wonderful. I'll give you some time to get familiar with your square. If you're struggling, remember you can adjust the heat lamps. Also, the photograph's contrasts have been altered to help distinguish the sedimentary layers easily. I'll be back shortly.
I glanced down at the photograph before comparing it to the vertical wall in front of me. No matter how closely I looked, everything was brown, 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 and more brown. How am I supposed to tell the difference of this brown layer from that brown layer? Not deterred, I picked up a pencil and began marking the more distinct sediments. Eventually it became less solid brown, and I could see reds and faint yellows within the soil. I was so focused that I barely registered that I was not alone anymore. A tall student stood by the square next to mine, already engaged in identifying the sediments. I paid him no heed, until I became stumped on whether I was looking at one layer or two. Quietly peering at his profile, he seemed rather familiar with the system. I guess it wouldn't hurt to ask him, or at least try to communicate. Can I get your opinion on something? Quiet, student. Hello? Bonjour? Still no reaction. I reached out and gave him a gentle tap on the shoulder. Whoa! The touch jolted him so abruptly that I retracted my hand. He whirled around, then glared at me. Annoyed student. Oui, avez-vous besoin de quelque chose? Sorry, I don't speak French. Non parle, non. Oh, anglais. French-speaking student. He placed his photograph on the top of his square. Aloof student. I just love that they change it. Did you need something? Yeah, actually. I'm trying to figure out the layers, and I can't tell if this is one. I gently traced the soil and then pretended to pinch the air to give an idea of width. Or two. It seems reddish at the top. He grabbed his trowel, giving the vibe of a serious and no-nonsense person. Once I shuffled out of the way, he examined the area I'd indicated. 2. The stratum is more red, as you said, but gradually disappears around here. He etched a small line to mark the ending. I blinked as I recognized the differences and nodded gratefully. Thanks so much. I mean, I sort of figured, but I wasn't sure either. It's nice to get a second opinion. I gave him a cheerful smile, but he remained impassive. He even seemed baffled when I reached out to initiate a proper handshake. I'm Melissa. I'm the only foreign student here, if it wasn't obvious already with my language skills. Reluctantly, he switched the trowel to his left hand and we gave a solid shake before letting go. Kyler. And that was it. With nothing else to work with from his introduction, I decided to bring up his skills. I'm guessing you're aspiring to be an archaeologist? You appear to know what you're doing. He returned to his side of the square and knelt down, grabbing his photograph. Yes, this is my 4th time here, so I'm acquainted with the subject. And you, especially since you're not from around here. Well, I'm gonna pick this because I haven't done it where I've not paid attention to Augustin and then said, I am serious. I want to see what he says. Of course. I did come all the way from California to experience this firsthand. I also love the idea of working on such an old archaeological site. I'm surprised that they assigned me to excavate a 125,000 layer. I looked upward. It did seem most students got the upper strata to work with instead. He's not impressed. For someone so interested, you did get distracted easily.
Hey! It was all in French, and I couldn't help but look around. Since we're excavating next to each other, that makes us square mates. Or will that be carré mates? Either way, I look forward to working alongside with you.
He looked confused by my segue, but simply gave a mechanical nod. Right. Likewise. Even his last words felt artificial, and I lost him to his little world of microstratigraphy. I guess he values his concentration. I mentally reminded myself to bring my earbuds for next time. I had a feeling we wouldn't be making much small talk outside of excavations. Not this time. We had our romance, and now it's over. The rest of the day was pretty uneventful. It was mostly a long wait for my photograph to be approved by Sherry, and then I got hit by the jet lag. Despite my worries, Sherry said she would not deduct marks if I napped until dinner, although she did scold me for forgetting my journal. Whoops. I scanned the tables and maneuvered to where Sherry sat. I scooted to a spot on the bench and silently started on my meal. After a few bites, I poked at the pasta dejectedly and sighed. Now I really wish Paige was here. And we promised to do so many things together, too. I glanced up hopefully at Sherry. I felt bad, but she was the only oasis in this unfamiliar place, and I clung to it. Not only that, aside from Kyler, none of the students greeted me or even tried to converse with me. I guess it was obvious that I didn't attend the same university. Will I fit in? The question was more to myself, but Sherry overheard.
Worried? The students here can be reserved, but I'm sure there'll be a few brave ones who'd like to practice their English with you. They're probably too focused from the lectures and the tasks right now.
True. I'm sure once we're all used to the routine here, I'll have more chances to mingle. I ate with gusto, feeling confident now. When I finished, Sherry glanced at my empty plate.
Here, I'll take that for you. Trying to get some rest.
Her concern cheered me up, and I chided myself for feeling anxious when I had barely arrived. I retreated to my tent. As I settled down, contemplating about tomorrow, a musical tune disrupted the quiet night. Shoji, is that you? It was quickly silenced, but I knew the catchy introduction theme to Ishtara anywhere. I grabbed my 3DP. No, I didn't leave my system on or anything. Was someone else playing? I might as well play some Ishtara. A little grinding will do me some good. I booted up the game, and the first notes of the theme song blared loudly. I had forgotten that my earbuds weren't hooked to the handheld. I slid the volume down, hoping it didn't startle anyone. The low spirits I felt earlier today melted away to the warm colors of the game. Play that game, girl! Yeah! I want to know, when we get closer to Shoji, will he game with us? Because that'll be so cute. In the meantime, dawn of the third day. Time to meet another old boo. And I'm enjoying a pleasant jog early in the morning. Since I don't know much about Korean, I stuck to the familiar path between the train station and the museum. When I returned, I saw people mingling in the open canopy. That meant there was enough time to eat breakfast before the trek to the cave. I swung a leg over the bench and settled into my seat. After pouring myself some apple juice, I grabbed an orange and began peeling it.
Did you have a nice jog?
Startled by the unfamiliar accent, I glanced upward, greeted by a friendly face. I did. It was a short one, though, since I don't want to risk getting lost just yet. I don't know the area well enough.
The roads can be pretty windy, too. You think you're heading east and somehow end up going north.
Oh yeah, I noticed the streets aren't all clearly marked. The names are mostly on buildings. Speaking of names, I'm Melissa. Pleased to meet you. I extended an arm and he accepted my handshake.
DeAndre, enchanté.
Wait, you're from around here?
C'est ça.
It's just... I hate saying this, I'm not going to do that anymore. Your accent isn't French when you speak in English. Did you learn it from somewhere?
I studied abroad in New Zealand for a few years and picked up their manner of speech.
That makes sense. Well, it sounds lovely. It's a charming accent.
Seriously? Sweet has. I was concerned I'd be hard to understand considering it's not my first language. Glad that's not the case.
I'm grateful that you took the chance. For a while it seemed no one wanted to talk to me. I worried if I was somehow unapproachable.
Not at all. Many people here are shy in the beginning, but they warm up quickly. We were actually intimidated by your presence at first.
Huh? Me?
We all thought you were some high school prodigy archaeologist, since you had obviously flown in from another country.
Eh? Me, a prodigy? Oh, no. I'm just a regular university student working on her anthropology major. And I don't look like a high schooler.
First year?
No, second year. Well, I guess technically third. You?
Fourth. I've sort of fallen behind on electives, so a summer one seemed the easiest.
We noticed a few students getting up and bringing their dishes to the outdoor wash area. DeAndre reached into his back pocket, then pulled out a phone. He glanced at the display.
Speaking of which, if we'd like to pass, we should start heading out soon.
Cave or lab?
Right now, I'm on dishwasher duty, but I'll be working in the lab afterwards. They're still getting around to approving people's photographs, including mine.
Again, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it.
It's no problem. I know what it's like to be in a new country and away from your folks.
Once we finished breakfast, we stood up at the same time. We momentarily gazed at each other in surprise. He was much taller than I had expected, near Kyler's height. Now that I think about it, most, if not all, of the students here were easily a few inches taller than me or more. DeAndre hammered a fist into his flat palm excitedly.
Oh, that was the other reason why we thought you were a high school student.
Hey, I'm only slightly below average height at home. DeAndre grinned in amusement. When we left the canopy, I spotted a middle-aged woman frantically asking students something in French. We never have seen Helen yet, have we? What's going on? Oh, sorry, Helena? Did I say Helena? I can't remember. That lady! We haven't actually seen her face yet.
Helena, the receptionist here, is looking for volunteers, but it hasn't been easy. I offered to cook all week, but it's not a one-person job. I have a partner for today, but any past that...
Sherry did encourage me to participate. More like I would be marked on my helpfulness outside of archaeology, too. I won't do this, because it gives us an extra scene with him, and we don't need that anymore, but I still like you, DeAndre. Don't forget. I know I should volunteer, but I don't want to do that so soon. My head is already swamped with learning how to excavate, and I haven't even dug an inch yet. I'm sure you'll find someone. Good luck with that.
Yeah, thanks, Mel.
I'll see you later. I'm glad my photograph got approved. Now I can finally start digging. So where do I start? From the top?
Right. You start at the top and work your way back 25 centimeters. And then you proceed downward until you finish the layer. Some people prefer digging back a few centimeters and work their way down. Either way, as long as you're making progress. For now, we had to remove the couche de merde.
Using her trowel, she etched a line near the top of the square. The dirt at the very top was hard and compact, with footprints all over it.
All this is out of context now. People have trampled on it, and it's been exposed to the air for so long that it's better just to remove it all.
Couche de merde? Wait, it sounds similar to merde. Therefore...
Exactly. It's a layer of crap, to phrase it mildly. Just dig back 25 centimeters and a few down when it comes to this layer. It'll make working here much easier. You'll still need a document for this, but you don't have to worry about the details.
At least this will give me a chance to sharpen my excavating skills. I discreetly glanced in Kyler's direction. He must have been super diligent, since he had already stripped his layer away. Hesitantly, I took the bigger trowel and started scraping, amazed by the resistance. I had to apply more force to make a dent.
While you work on that, I have a quick question. Did you bring your journal?
I didn't forget this time.
Wonderful. Also, have you talked to Helena already? She's the receptionist here and oversees the volunteers for cooking and cleaning duties.
I could see where this was going.
Uh-huh. As you recall, I expect you to volunteer since it'll be for marks, too.
Oh, I haven't volunteered yet.
You better get on that. Helena did say that she's been having a hard time finding volunteers. Melissa, I'd like it if you could help out tomorrow. I hope it's not too abrupt.
It's too soon. I know it's important, but I'd like to focus more on digging first before I start volunteering. I just got here, and I'm still adapting to the schedule. I'm worried I'd get overwhelmed.
I see. If you're uncomfortable, then don't feel pressure to volunteer for now. Keep in mind, it's not only about helping out, but also getting acquainted with the other students. Who knows, maybe they'll be valuable colleagues in the future. I'll let you finish your first task. I'll mostly be helping other students here. Give a holler if you have any inquiries. I personally want you to get used to digging in the cave first before you transfer to the lab. Next week, you can decide which one you'd like to focus on. Generally, students spend 1 week in the cave, 1 week in the lab, then alternate. However, I think flexibility is very important, so I'll let you plan your days.
Sounds good. With the conversation finished, Sherry climbed the ladder, leaving me with a remote Kyler. Geez, he digs so fast. He does have experience, though, but I wonder if I can even rely on him. So much for the square mate thing. Pulling the earbuds out of my pocket, I inserted them and turned on my music. Now let's tackle this, mucky layer. Hey, back to my gaming. Good going, Melissa. Ah, we got to meet our boy for this route. Heavy, heavy, way too heavy. Why did I think it was a good idea to fill it to the top? Not only that, I had to climb 2 ladders. Gripping the bucket handle with both hands, I managed to trudge forward to the wet screening area. Luckily, one space was free. I set down the bucket, then placed a screen over the container suspended above the tub of water. I tried hoisting the bucket, only to find I was too short for this task. I kicked futilely at a cement block until I realized it was faster to grab it and drag it next to the tub. Excuse me. Stepping on the block, I unceremoniously dumped half the bucket's contents, trying not to overdo it. Once I had my labeled cup next to me, I grabbed a hose and drenched the compacted soil, using my free hand to break up the globs. While I sifted through the items, I glanced at the person across from me. Hey, Shoji. Can I look at his hoodie more? There we go. So cute. He tentatively poked through the wet screen, unable to determine if any of the objects were rubbish or worth dropping into the cup. His arms obscured his hoodie design, although it seemed vaguely familiar to me. I watched him, and he happened to look up, meeting my eyes. Bonjour. Sorry, I can't speak French, so I'm not even sure if you can understand me. I didn't mean to blurt that out, but he averted his eyes briefly. For a moment I thought he didn't understand English and didn't know how to respond.
Hello.
You speak English?
Yes, I think I'm pretty fluent with it.
Sweet. It's always nice to know I can talk to more people here. I'm not confident with my French at all, let alone Spanish. I chuckled while I waited for a reply. However, he meekly nodded, then glanced down at the wet screening. Total opposite of DeAndre. Guess he's not big on conversation. Music is great, but I spent all morning beside super sociable Kyler. I need small talk, darn it. New to all this? First time here as well?
Yes, I don't know much about archaeology, so this is all new to me.
It's a lot to take in. My head is spinning from all the info dumped on me in the past few days. Hopefully all my worries will pass on whether I can do this or not, and I can enjoy the experience. Are you nervous too?
A bit.
For someone being thoughtful on how to answer, it was barely a complete sentence. I need another angle. What else could I say? I could say I love your hoodie. It was going to be a general statement, but then I got a clearer look at what he was wearing. Wait, no way! Some of the design was still hidden by his arms, but I'd recognize that logo anywhere. Oh my gosh! I love your Chronicles of Solita hoodie. It's based on 20 Masks, right?
You've played them before?
It was practically my childhood. I love the series, and it was my favorite one.
Really? Mine too! I've always appreciated the darker direction the series took with it.
Yeah, I loved the mysterious, spooky vibe they had going. My favorite part was learning about the world through the side quests. I forgot about the nerd part. Nerd.
I'm guessing you completed the Lover's Quest? What did you think of that one?
Loved it. It was really sad, and I felt guilty I couldn't reunite them every time. I think I shed more tears over that than the actual ending. The NPC schedules were... Ugh. Sorry, I'm so excited about this game. Just... Bleh. The NPC schedules were super detailed. I'd end up following each character. What a nerd!
I agree. The main town felt livelier for it, and I liked how your choices could influence the characters, too. I'm Shoji.
He eagerly extended an arm, and I flinched from the unanticipated gesture. Seeing my startled reaction, he hastily withdrew his hand and averted his eyes.
Sorry.
No worries, I just didn't expect it. Here. I initiated the handshake this time and realized how gritty and wet our hands were. He seemed to be aware of it too, and we exchanged an apologetic look followed by a laugh. My bad. Should have wiped my hand first. Not the best of handshakes there.
It's fine.
The burst of zeal he displayed when we gushed over games had quickly mellowed out. We released each other's hand, and he silently returned to his wet screening. I did the same. Sometimes I'd glance up and sense he had more to say, but did not articulate them. I already forced enough conversation out of him for now. When he was done, Shoji tipped over the screen, dumping out all of the rubble, which disappeared with the water below. After Shoji picked up his empty bucket, he lingered by the catwalk for a moment before returning to me.
I'll see you around.
He trailed off, and then it hit me that I hadn't even said my name yet. Oh, it's Melissa.
Right. Pleased to meet you, Melissa.
Likewise. See you later, Shoji. He gave me a grateful nod before disappearing into the cave. I might as well finish up too. That went so well, you guys! You guys are so cute! So cute. And we failed at looking up bunny videos again, but that's okay because our stress is super low right now. Oh, and then we succeeded, so now we got no stress. Ugh. Don't die, girl. Yeah. Starting to sound rowdy over there. I could even hear the hollering and cheering over the video game music. A large silhouette appeared near my tent and I yanked out my earbuds.
Mel, are you around?
Over here, I'm in the yellow tent. He gave the tent's flap a knock, rattling the fabric. I zipped it open and poked my head out. Something up?
Oh, I thought you'd rather socialize than hole yourself up in your tent. Want to break some language barriers?
He held out a raspberry-flavored beer bottle and swayed it before me.
Although by the end we'll all be incoherent anyway.
Ah yes, drinking, a universal pastime. Should I join in? I just remembered that in the Let's Party option, I go to like a green tent, and I could have gone into it, and I thought that was Kyler's tent, but then I completely forgot about it in Kyler's route. So why don't we pick it and see whose tent that actually is now? Because we know these will not lead us to Shoji, so let's find out. I accepted the offering, relieved I've recently checked my blood sugar levels. Why not? I want to see how you guys party compared to California.
Well, there's no oceans or white sands here, but we know how to have a good time.
I stood up and we clicked drinks. Still, I was a little nervous joining a bunch of strangers. At least I had DeAndre to hang out with if the socializing didn't go well. I'm sure it'll be fine. Ugh, that was pathetic. I lowered myself down unsteadily, almost falling on my rear in the process. My hand clumsily groped against the tent's fabric, trying to find a way in. Where's the entrance? I spent the evening attempting to socialize, but it was fruitless. The whole time I awkwardly stood at the edge of a group or wandered around unable to join in conversation. I ended up occupying my time by nursing a few beers instead, pretending to enjoy myself. Maybe I drank the last one too fast. I wasn't drunk, but I was definitely dizzy and lightheaded.
Are you having trouble?
Oh, DeAndre. I pawed against the green tent again and broke into a giggle. It was hard to control my emotions. I can't locate the doorknob.
How much did you drink?
I don't know. A few more. Maybe more. It was a disaster. No one talked to me. Realizing my outburst, I took a deep breath to calm myself. Oh, drunk Melissa. I'm sorry. I'm clingy and whiny when tipsy. DeAndre knelt down beside me in concern and put a hand on my shoulder.
Hey, didn't mean to leave you alone earlier. Got caught up talking to a few others and...
No, it's not your fault. You're not obligated to stick with me the whole time.
I should have checked on you at least, being new here and all.
I shook my head and immediately regretted it as my balance went off kilter. Fortunately, DeAndre's hand was still on my shoulder and he ended up supporting me. Whoops. I guess I should sleep. Thanks. DeAndre reached over to open the green tent, but hesitated.
I could be wrong, but this is your tent, right?
Of course! Oh my, your color's so high, Melissa. It's definitely this one.
Alright, just making sure.
Sleepy. DeAndre, with one arm still around me, unzipped the tent. Can't wait to see whose this is. I felt a sturdy hand on my back as I clumsily crawled forward. My knee caught on the edge, causing me to flop over. I burst into a giggle over my own antics. DeAndre held the flap to make sure I was okay.
Jeez, you're out of it. Here, let me move that bag aside.
I collapsed over the sleeping bag, my eyes already closed. A hand touched my forehead and brushed my bangs back.
A little warm, but you should be fine for tomorrow.
I felt the fabric being tugged beneath me until it covered me.
I hope you don't kick it off. It's going to be chilly tonight.
I heard the tent zip up as I snuggled under the sleeping bag, my flushed face feeling better against the cool pillow.
Bon nuit.
Melissa? Who is it? I felt someone gently shaking my shoulder, followed by another whisper. Melissa, please wake up. Huh? Ah! Shoji! Oh no! The green tent is yours! Oh. Oh, poor Shoji. He's like, there's a girl in my tent. Groggily, I rubbed my eyes, wondering why it was still pitch black out. A blurry silhouette came into view. Oh, what a face. Who?
It's me, Shoji.
My head throbbed, but my eyes flew open as I hazily recalled the previous events. Shoji knelt by the entrance, his knees touching the fabric of the tent. Wait. Why would I get angry at him for barging in? This is his tent! Something wrong? Did you need me for something? Oh. He let out a huge sigh of relief, one hand pressed against his chest.
Oh, good. I was scared you'd get upset if I disturbed you.
Anyway, why did you wake me up?
I'm really sorry. Believe me, I didn't want to, especially since it's late, but this is my tent.
Huh? But... I looked around and recognized none of the possessions. The suitcase? Definitely not mine, nor the folded pajamas on top. Oh. Oh gosh, you're right. But how... I see what happened now. Shoji, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. I wasn't exactly sober, and...
It's fine. I'm not mad or anything. Don't worry about it. When I discovered you sleeping earlier, I didn't know what to do. I sort of stayed in the museum, wondering if I could sleep there. Whoops. But it's freezing.
When he mentioned that, I noticed how chilly it was, too. I shivered as I crawled out of the sleeping bag. Hey, I warmed up your sleeping bag for you, buddy. Oh gosh, I feel a sneeze coming on. Go away, sneeze.
I wondered if you wouldn't mind if I slept in your tent. But, even if you understood the circumstances, I didn't think you'd appreciate it.
I'm sure you're not appreciating this.
I admit, when I saw you, I spent about 10 minutes panicking whether I got the wrong tent. Again, I'm sorry for waking you up. I guess I should have woken you up earlier, but I wasn't sure how you'd react.
Shoji moved out of the way as I scooted outside. After I grabbed the zipper and opened the flap to my own tent, I glanced curiously at Shoji. You usually go to bed earlier. What were you doing up late?
Playing while recharging my 3DP.
Of course. Good night! We exchanged a good night, and I crawled into my sleeping bag. My head still throbbed, and my eyelids felt sore. Ugh, I was so careless. I guess the new environment was still overwhelming. I made a mental note to apologize to Shoji properly in the morning. Curling up, I fell asleep once again, this time in the correct bed.